Hey guys, this is Martin Litwin with Crest Construction here in Louisiana. I'm starting a video series, and this will be the first video in this series to talk to you guys about commercial construction, what it entails, how you can be successful, and just kind of give some broad overview topics of the stuff that I've learned, and maybe you can apply it in y'all's career and y'all's businesses, and maybe get into commercial construction and do pretty well at it. So the first thing that we need to understand about commercial construction is kind of how the structure of commercial construction and the management of it differs pretty drastically from residential construction. I've got a little flow chart behind me that we'll get into in a minute, but what's really important to understand about commercial construction versus residential construction is that in commercial construction, there is a lot of money at stake. From the standpoint of, if the project doesn't get finished on time, the customer is losing business, they're losing income. There are people going without jobs, they're staying furloughed or waiting to get hired on, and they can't hire them on fast enough because the project's not done. There's really a lot of negatives that come if the project isn't finished on time. And that carries over into, say, National Park work and National Guard work, where you get liquid damages if the project isn't finished on time. There's a lot of negative effects for the customer if the project's not done on time. It's a little different in residential, where if the project's not done on time, it's just kind of a pain in the butt for everybody. Maybe they incur some interest on a construction loan, or a mortgage from the mortgage company, but there's really not a lot of other effects. It could be a huge inconvenience, but there's just not quite as much fire, I find, in the residential sector. So with that in mind, commercial construction has a certain management style to it that you encounter pretty regularly when you're dealing at least with corporate accounts or national accounts. You have the suits up at the top that decide they want to, open up a new store, or they want to remodel a store, and so they send that information down the chain of command, and eventually it gets to the construction team, and the construction team gets with an architect, and the architect drafts plans, and then both of them submit it out to a general contractor to get bid, then the general gives it to sub, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through for, the subcontractor's bid to go up to a GC, then from the GC to the architects and the construction managers, then back up all the micromanagers and the macro managers up to all the way at the top management, who ultimately make the call if the project's gonna, take place, or if the GC that is the low bidder is going to get the job, and subsequently you as the subcontractor get the work. So let's just jump into this. My company strives to operate as a subcontractor for divisions 5 through 9 of the master format. You'll need to know about master format. You can Google that. We perform divisions 5 through 9 in commercial projects. I do remodels, I do new construction. Essentially, I'm going in trying to frame the building, hang drywall, do the blocking, install toilet accessories, toilet partitions, put in the metal frame doors, all the door hardware, float the drywall, and then paint the structure, put up the acoustic ceilings. Maybe we'll do floors. We'll probably get into some stucco if there's any stucco on the project. But I serve to perform those scopes of work for the general contractor. I don't want to manage electricians, I don't want to manage plumbers, I don't want to coordinate with the customer, do all the back and forth, the change orders with the customer, pick paint colors. I don't want to do that. I'm just a subcontractor, and so that's what I bid. So I get a project and I bid as a subcontractor. So if we go up the chain of command, let's see what this looks like. This is a basic understanding of commercial construction on corporate accounts, okay? And this is not an exact science. This is my understanding and the best way that I can communicate it to you. At the top up here, you have your owners and you've got your shareholders. That's the people that own the corporate company. Let's say Walmart, for example. These are the owners of Walmart and the shareholders of Walmart. They want to open a new store or remodel a store. They pass that information down to the management on a macro level. That's all the big time managers that have people working under them. Those big time managers say, okay, shareholders, we'll go on and we'll open this new store up. They send out that information to their regional construction departments, whether it's north and south or east and west. They say, hey, construction managers, that store in Louisiana that we were talking about building, we're ready to move on it. The construction management team gets together with the architect, they draft up a plan, they take that information back up the food chain, they get approval, then it comes back down the food chain, they make any changes, and then it's submitted out to general contractors for bid. Once the general contractors get the project, the solicitations to bid, they go, okay, this is a big old project. We can't self-perform all this work. Most GCs that I know of, in fact, all the GCs I know of, do not self-perform work. They are exclusively a management entity for these corporate projects. The GC will get a set of plans, they'll interact with the construction managers and the architects to make sure they have all the details, and they'll send out solicitations for bids or invitations to bid, ITBs. The GCs will send out the plans to your various subcontractors. They'll find subcontractors in a number of ways, and we'll dive into that in another video some other time. What you need to know for now is by the time I receive the plans, tons of other people have been involved in this process, and a lot of money has already been spent. By the time I get the project, I'm just reviewing a set of plans and putting a number to the scopes of work that I want to do. I send the proposal back to the GC. The GC compiles all the numbers, they put their overhead and their profit on it, then they submit it back to the construction management, and the architecture firm has some input on it too. That information then is brought back up the food chain. Generally speaking, the owners and the shareholders and the macro managers, they will be looking for the cheapest, the lowest bid GC to perform the work. This isn't necessarily always true on jobs for these travel plazas that I've done. For these various restaurants I've done work for, they don't necessarily accept the cheap bid, but that's all a topic for another video. What the takeaway should be from this is that the difference that I see that's very important to understand in commercial construction, there's a lot of management involved. It's essential for the smooth operation of a commercial project for a lot of managers to be involved. That way information is communicated, all the details are addressed, everybody gets paid appropriately, there's contracts in place, it's very professional. There's a lot of emailing, there's a lot of spreadsheets involved, there's a lot of what's called pay apps involved. It's not just as simple when I'm done with my work as generating an invoice on my phone and emailing it to the GC and saying, I'm ready to get paid. I have to put together a whole pay app with a retainage on it, and I have to wait a period of time to collect my money. So, we could go on and on all day about a lot of things that fall under this, flow chart. The major takeaway to take away from this first video is that there's a lot of management involved in commercial construction. If you want to get into commercial construction, the first step will be get commercially licensed. That's the first step. Get your commercial license, whether it's a trade license or a general contractor's license, and start focusing on this subcontractor, the subcontractor position. I've GC'd multiple projects before, and I will do it. But where I really focus and make my money is as being a subcontractor. So that's the starting point as far as I'm concerned. Get your commercial license. Bid jobs as a subcontractor, and learn how to communicate very, very well through email and phone calls. I would actually demand of you, it's a demand, you have to be able to present your company in a professional fashion. No shorts, no tennis shoes, you're wearing the quintessential construction garb. Jeans, steel-toed boots, high-vis shirts, hard hats, tuck your shirt in, speak well. When you're communicating on the phone, don't curse and run it. It's yes, sir, be very soft-spoken. When you're sending emails, keep them concise and professional. If you can operate in those parameters, then you may be ready to start being a subcontractor. So that's just kind of the broad overview for right now, maybe kind of a rambling video, but I figure that's a real good place to start is just with the management because we can build off of this as we get into the next video. I think the next video that we may make here and discuss is what goes into putting a subcontractor proposal together, and how do you present that to a general contractor where you can communicate the professionalism of your company and your abilities as a company. It's almost like a big marketing ploy if you want to look at it, the way that you present a proposal. You have to market your company effectively. So I think that's probably what we're going to get into in the next video is if you're ready to start being a subcontractor, how do you put a proposal together? And furthermore, how do you find companies to send proposals to? So I appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully somebody learned something from it. I'm trying to be as concise as possible. Any input you guys got is greatly appreciated, and good luck to you. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.